This may be one of the most important videos that I do. I want to talk about identity. First, why am I wearing this silly orange hat? Well, I'll tell you why I'm wearing this silly orange hat. It's because a long time ago, I used to love wearing baseball caps, especially bright baseball caps. And there was a part of me that was doing it to show off. And there was a part of me that just loved it because as a kid, my mum used to put me in really bright colours. She always used to say, why blend in when you can stand out? And I really enjoyed something about having brown skin. I really enjoyed having wearing bright colours. And then I kind of got out of wearing bright colours as my eczema started to deteriorate, and I tried to draw less attention to myself and to my face. So I started wearing a lot of blacks and dark colours and realised that that wasn't reflecting my true personality. And so in this video, I want to kind of talk about identity and personality and why I think this is probably one of the most profound things you may hear. And by that may sound really egoic. I don't mean what I'm about to say, that I'm the most profound thing you're about to hear, but it's actually just a reflection of the things I've been hearing from the likes of Joe Dispenza and Tony Robbins and Wayne Dyer and Aaron Doherty. And it's really this concept of identity. You see, there once upon a time was a version of me that wore bright caps. And over the past few years, there's been a version of me that hasn't wore bright caps. And what's really amazing is that to manifest your ideal next level, or to manifest something in your life that isn't yet in your world, it's less about doing and more about being. Let me give an example as an illustration. There's a great old movie that I love called The Family Man. It's Nicolas Cage. It's a Christmas film. And I won't bore you with the details, but it's a really nice movie. I recommend it. But he basically has this kind of sliding doors moment. That's another good film, by the way. He has this sliding doors moment where he gets a glimpse of what his life could have been like if he hadn't gotten on this particular plane, right? And when he gets this glimpse of what his life could have been like, he was like this boss of this organization in his normal real reality. But then in this alternate reality, he's not the boss. The guy that was his number two is the boss. And the guy that was his number two was like really meek and quiet in the real world. He was a real family man, and he was really just not assertive, and he was just really, you got to see this, he was just really meek and quiet. And anyway, in the alternate reality, Nicolas Cage's character meets this guy, Alan, who is now the boss. He's now in Nicolas Cage's role, and he's like really full on and assertive and all this stuff. And it's really funny because Nicolas Cage meets this guy, Alan, his character, when he's like now assertive. And obviously Nicolas Cage knows him in the other reality, and he's like, Alan, this is different from you. And Alan obviously doesn't know him, and he's like, what are you talking about? Who do you think you are talking to me like that? And he's like full on, and Nicolas Cage is like, good for you, man, good for you. And it's just this brilliant illustration of how, and it's so subtle, but it's this brilliant illustration of how, like, we are, whether we like it or not, we are like consciously deciding a persona. Like, we're deciding what identity to be in any given moment. Like, you may have certain friends that you immediately are around and you change how you act. That's identity. Like, I've got a friend called Julian, and the minute I'm around Julian, I haven't spent time with Julian for a while, but the minute I'm around Julian, I immediately wear the hat of, metaphorically speaking, I wear the hat of kind of joking around, high energy, being loud. It's just fun. And then I have another friend called Ben, and we just have really, really deep, meaningful, really like soft, feminine, spiritual conversations. And I have another friend called Liam, and we talk about business and entrepreneurship and sales and paid advertising, all this kind of stuff, right? And then I've got another friend, Ryan, who owns a gym, He's my neighbour, and we talk about fitness and running, and it's all about that, and our kids. And so if it's so easy for us to change and adjust and pivot our personalities like that, then wouldn't it make sense to you then that if there's an area of your life that you haven't yet manifested, you might perhaps need a new persona to bring that into reality? So for example, like in business, I have made some changes in business. Like a few months ago, me and my business partner parted ways. And I used to default a lot of things to him, like finance, systems, operations. And I would just do the presenting and the sales and the coaching calls, and I loved it. And he would do like funnels and paid ads and this kind of stuff that I apparently didn't enjoy. But then this past few weeks, I've been doing paid ads, building funnels, writing email campaigns, and I've actually found I really enjoy it. And so I'm just going to move this because the sun is really bright here today, which is beautiful, but not great for a video for YouTube. Great for me, not great for visual on YouTube. And that's another example, right? I used to be this person who would want to do this perfect video. Like I used to do these videos where I would it'd be in my house, and you may have seen these videos. I recommend, if you, not for me, but do it for you so that you can see what I mean. Like I do these videos, go and find them. It's me in front of a TV screen. And I would set up like camera, lights, plug the laptop in. If the laptop didn't connect properly, I'd get frustrated. I would like pump myself up to get myself in state for these videos. They were pretty good, but they were really forced, and they were really contrived, and they weren't very natural. They were just a different version of me. They were just me in a different timeline. They were me at a stage where I wasn't so comfortable in my skin, I guess. And here I am now recording in the car, and I didn't do this for effect, but I'm recording in the car. The hat was for effect, although it kind of wasn't, because my Sati bought it me today and I like it, and Sage likes me wearing it, so, and I'm enjoying it. And I thought it would illustrate a point. But everything else about the video, in terms of the lighting, maybe the sound, I'm not wearing a proper mic, it's all just, I made a decision recently that I'm going to go live on YouTube every day, record something valuable, and I don't care about the production as much as I care about the quality of the message. Now, don't get me wrong, at some point I may make a decision to upgrade the production, but I realise it's not the most important thing. It's like a friend of mine that used to do dating coaching, and he always used to say the men that come to him, the thing they most wanted was chat up lines, and he had to make them realise that that was like the most irrelevant part of the video. Because you can give a really awkward, socially awkward man or woman, women use chat-up lines too, a chat-up line, and they can kill it, and it bombs, and it's awkward, and it's horrible for the recipient. And then you can equally give another person who's like really comfortable in their own skin a line, and the person loves it, and they're on to date number 2, right? Same line, different person, different personality, different identity. So that's really what we're talking about in this video, is if there's something in your life that you haven't yet manifested yet, you have to make an intentional decision to adopt a new identity that fits that new version of you. Like I have certain, like I got this from Tony Robbins. Basically, he said, in every area of your life, you want to come up with like different titles that represent you, the best of you in that particular area. So like when I'm presenting, when I'm speaking, I think about how would Tony Robbins show up. Now, that doesn't mean I'm like, I don't want to be a copy of Tony Robbins, but when I think about the standard of which I know Tony will put in, like I've got an event this Saturday, and when these boys on their bikes and their music, when I present, it's funny, when I present on Saturday at this event, one of the big things for me will be like making sure I show up in a certain way. And the way that I decide to show up on the event will be like, I'll ask myself the question, how would Tony Robbins show up for this event? And the minute I ask that question, it puts me into a different realm. It brings me into a different kind of identity space. Or like I think of mine, I've got a friend of mine called Zach Fotheringham. Zach's like a bodybuilder, been on Men's Health magazine, great physique, great personal trainer, great fitness model. Sometimes I may ask myself, you know, how would Zach show up in health? And the minute I think about how Zach would show up in health, it gets me thinking about how I need to show up in health for me to have the kind of health that I ultimately would want to have. So I do think a shortcut is pick some people that you're inspired by. It's not about comparing yourself to them, but it's about modeling their recipe. Because obviously there's a recipe to Tony Robbins in a live event. And obviously I can't ask Tony what the recipe is, but I can kind of guess by watching him and listening to him. I can guess what the recipe is. And sometimes he actually tells you what the recipe is, right? Tells you what he does in the morning, his cold plunge, and that kind of stuff. So find some people that are already succeeding at the level that you want to succeed at. Think about what might be their recipe. If you can ask them, ask them. If you can't, guess. I'm sure you can come up with it. And then what you've got to do is you've got to actually put yourself in the scene where you're doing the thing that the new version of you would do. So the new version of me will do YouTube videos every single day. I said, I truly believe that if I do YouTube videos every single day, my life is going to change. My communication is going to change. My presenting is going to be better. The way I articulate myself is going to be better. I'm going to be a better role model. These are going to be really helpful for Sage and Zen when they grow up, because they'll get to, if I weren't around, they would get this beautiful asset, this channel that could give them, you know, some really good examples to live by. But more importantly, it would make me feel like I'm living into the best version of me. So I think the last thing I want to kind of say is this thing about upgrading your identity is less about doing it for an effect. And it's more about doing it to elevate and vibrate at a higher level, like to basically be you at a higher level for no reason other than life is short, and if we're not intending to live at the best, highest level of us, then what is all this really for? I think I want to leave you with that question. Could keep talking, but ponder that. Ponder that. There's other things I could say, but I think we're done. Hope you've enjoyed this one. I have, as always. I love doing these videos. Just to clarify, they're more for me than they are for YouTube. But I hope you're enjoying them. I hope you're finding them useful. Comment. As always, let me know your thoughts on this one. I love the engagement two-way. I enjoy it. I comment back. That's it. Peace out. See you next time. Goodbye.